Shalom! So, we are from group 13. My name is Rahel.
My name is Daniel,
My name is Monica.
and now we are going to be explain about the beauty of God from God's attributes. This one is from the course Proper Theologi. First, let's get to know about the definition of God's beauty in the attributes of God. Well, Wayne Grudem describes that God's beauty as the essence of every desirable qualities, suggesting that everything created reflects to His beauty, and it's all to glorify Him. He asserts that creation's ultimate purpose is to showcase God's magnificence. On the other hand, Louis Berkhoff connects God's beauty to His holiness and perfection, so it is stating that it is a manifestation of His divine attributes in perfect harmony. As expressed in Psalm 27 verse 4 ESV, "One thing have I asked of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all these days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in His temple." This verse expresses David's deepest desire to be in God's presence, where true fulfillment comes from experiencing His beauty and His holiness. It highlights worship as a lifestyle where one seeks a personal relationship with God beyond mere ritual. The second verse comes from Psalm 96 verse 6. "Splendor and majesty are before Him, strength and glory are in His sanctuary." The psalmist declares that God's beauty is manifested through His splendor and majesty. This verse invites believers to recognize God's greatness in worship, inspiring awe and reverence for His divine attributes to reflect His beauty. Third verse comes from Isaiah 33 verse 17. "Your eyes will see the King in His beauty, and they will behold a land that stretches afar." The verse promises a vision of God's beauty, portraying Him as a majestic King. It suggests that encountering God leads to a broader understanding to His creation, reinforcing the idea that recognizing divine beauty enriches our spiritual perspective and hope. God's beauty is intricately linked to the concept of the Trinity of God, where the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit embody perfect and beauty. Well, it's perfect love and unity. This divine relationships reflects the essence of God's beauty itself, as in Psalm 27 verse 4, where David expresses a longing heart to dwell in God's presence and experience His beauty and holiness. The beauty of creation mirrors the Trinitarian law, well, revealing that all beauty originates from God. As we seek to reflect God's attributes in our lives, we participate in this divine beauty, fostering deeper connections with Him and each other, ultimately enriching our spiritual journey.
Okay, we move to the next part about concepts, beauty of God. The first concept is creation demonstrates His power and wisdom. The atonement reflects His love and justice, and the radiance of heaven reflects His glory and beauty. The second is this attribute beauty is defined positively to show that God does possess all desirable qualities. Perfection means that God doesn't lack anything desirable, and beauty means that God has everything desirable. There are two different ways of affirming the same truth. The third is we individually and corporately reflect God's beauty in every way in which we exhibit His character. When we reflect on His character, He delights in us and finds us beautiful in His sight. We can also see beauty of God from some verse on the Bible. From Ephesians chapter 5 verse 27. "So that might present the church to Himself in splendor, without spot, wrinkle, or any such thing, that you might be holy and without blemish." The last one is from Colossians chapter 1 verse 19. "For in Him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell." so there are two implications that are inspiring and relevant for us to do in our daily lives. The first is having the motivation to serve. Because we realize that existence of the attribute of beauty that led us to serve others. Through His love, we can channel love to others through communities and individuals. The second is improving our personal relationship with God. Because God is a person who cares and loves His people, therefore we as His people are increasingly expected to draw closer to Him in worship and prayer. Because through that God will listen and care for us.
The last part is professional implication as a Christian teacher. God's beauty empowers teachers to, first, students through harmony in teaching, organize lessons in a way that is structured, engaging, and reflects the harmony of God's nature. 2. Reflect love and kindness. Teach with a loving heart, just as God displays love in all aspects of His being. 3. Bringing beauty to interactions. Valuing each student as God's unique creation, demonstrating their worth and dignity. God's beauty encourages teachers to share His truth in science and art. 1. Teach science with awe of the order of God's creation, which reflects His wisdom and harmony. 2. Teach art with an appreciation of human creativity as an image of God, showing His beauty in visual forms and expressions. And also from Ecclesiastes 3, verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, He has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. And the last is from 2 Corinthians 3, verse 18. And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Berkhoff said that the beauty of the Lord is that perfection of His being, by virtue of which He is the sum of all desirable qualities and is therefore worthy of our adoration and delight. And Calvin said, wherever you cast your eyes, there is no spot in the universe wherein you cannot discern at last some sparks of His glory. You cannot in one glance survey this most vast and beautiful system of the universe in its wide expanse without being completely overwhelmed by the boundless force of its brightness. And the last, for beauty, Grudem defining it as that attribute of God whereby He is the sum of all desirable qualities. Application to the professionalism of Christian teachers can be drawn from the general principles of Grudem's theology, such as 1. Reflecting the beauty of God in interactions with students, the learning environment, and teaching methods. 2. Teaching in a way that not only informs but also inspires, just as God created the world with beauty and harmony. This beauty of God has implications for a Christian teacher in 1. Inspire students to see beauty in creation and knowledge. Teachers can teach science and art with the understanding that all creation is a reflection of God's beauty. 2. Reflecting God's love and beauty in interactions. A Christian teacher can demonstrate love, kindness, and beauty in relationship with students, exuding God's character of beauty.
That's all from us.
Thank you!
Shalom!